sense tell you, Stephanie? Is everything okay? Mm-hmm. Welcome to Yogaxpress, your virtual stretch clinic that helps you move the body to still the mind. My name is Banu Suresh. I'm your host for this program. Today we have two amazing participants. In fact, one of them is our special guest. I'm going to save her for later. I'd like to introduce Stefanie Alleyne to my right. Stefanie is a bit of a yoga addict herself. You have practiced before, haven't you, Stefanie?
Yes, off and on.
What do you think? What is your impression of yoga itself? Because we have a special guest today who's probably going to change that if you have any different kind of views. So tell us a little bit.
Well, my impression of yoga is that it's a way to stay fit and healthy, as well as to enable positive flow of joints.
Okay.
I think it's very low impact, so people from various age groups can try it, no matter what their level is.
That's the idea, yeah.
And inactive people, who may not necessarily have, an athletic that they take part in,
Right.
can really try it and be successful.
Yeah, we want to stay active, but we may not all be sports-minded.
It's true.
I think Sophie Herbert is going to help us stay with that perspective. Before I introduce Sophie, because then she will take us right into the show, I'd like our viewers to know Yogaxpress airs Monday through Friday on Time Warner 57, RCN 84, and FiOS 35 at 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time. That's 1:30 New York time. Besides this yoga fitness show, we also have my third title, Yoga Secrets, which, by the way, is not yet a DVD.
Oh.
We're going to make it into one. It just has 2 + 8 ailment-specific cards. So what we do is we have put together a very simple sequence of 48 basic stretches, which could target, about 10 to 15 stretches will target different regions of the body to address 8 common ailments. So you have 48 low-impact, simple, safe stretches with special guests like Sophie Herbert, who is an amazing teacher. I've seen, and you will see that yourself. I don't need to say too much yet. She will take you through these stretches very safely. And of course, we will be making some adaptations today. But just remember, if you want to work different parts of the body, different regions of the body, your knees, for example, you do knee benders, knee bending stretches. You want to open up your chest to help prevent asthma. You do chest openers, enhance your lung power. So it's a very simple concept. You just target different regions of the body. You don't have to get into fancy postures. In fact, if you can get a little close-up, this is Sophie's signature posture, the scorpion. We're not going to do the scorpion today. That said, before I forget, I'd like to acknowledge our crew. Thank you so much to our director, Leonard Harper, and co-director, Carol Lewis. Stephanie here is also a facilitator for today, so thank you, Stephanie, for these amazing lights and gobos. Stefanie Alleyne has been helping us in the last 2 years that we have started this program. She hates getting up on the ladder, but she does an amazing job. So thank you, Stefanie.
It seemed like you hated it.
Thank you.
She did a really good job.
Actually, yeah, you did a great job. And look at all these lights. Now for the big moment that all of our viewers have been waiting for, Sophie Herbert. Sophie has, and before I forget, I want you to get hold of her website. Go visit her website, www.sophieherbert.com. That's going to come up in just a moment. Sophie, before we get into the stretches, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm a yoga teacher in New York. I teach in Brooklyn primarily at the Park Slope Yoga Center and also at Sangha House, which is a really nice new studio on 28th Street and between Madison and Park Avenue. And my background, I've been practicing yoga for over a decade and teaching a little over 5 years.
Right.
And I really fell in love with yoga in college. That's when my serious study began, and I also started spending a lot of time in India at that point.
Right.
I liked yoga, not just how it made me feel physically, but also mentally, emotionally, such a stabilizer.
Stable, right.
Yeah, so increases your physical flexibility and also mental flexibility. But also, I'm naturally kind of a flexible person, so everyone thinks, oh, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible.
Right.
No, it's not true.
You're going to counter all that
I'm going to
today.
counter. I'm going to tell you that also being flexible gives you a whole set of problems to think about, because if you're too flexible, it's like you have to think of everything twice.
And you're always trying to outdo yourself every time, so you don't want to do too much.
So it's really, I try to gear my practice on very safe alignment-based practices, and that's been transformative because it's important for everyone who's hypermobile out there, just your joints bend back or your shoulders are very loose.
Right.
It's important to make sure that you do not overextend, because that can be very damaging.
It's about being safe. That's the operative word. You want to be safe. And for instance, today, Stephanie's got socks on, but remember, if you want to keep your socks on, you need rubber dots or something that gives you traction on the mat. Yeah. Stephanie's got rubber dots. You can't see them because you're a little away from the cameras. She's got rubber dots under her socks. So you want something that gives you traction. You don't want to slip. It's all about safety, doing simple, safe stretches. That's really all you need. So Sophie, what do you have planned for? Actually, before we move on, I want to tell our viewers, I loved your website. And I love the little clip that you sent us. You're out on YouTube as well, right?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel. You can find it on my site.
Yeah, Google Sophie, sophieherbert.com, or go to YouTube, SOPHIE, HERBERT.
That's correct.
Google Sophie. She's all over the place. You have an amazing link to YouTube, and I loved it. You know the part that I loved best?
Which part?
The one where, and I'm wondering how you did that. She's videotaped the Indian village scene over there, and I think you were on a train.
Oh,
yes, did you put your camera out there? Did you stick your head
a little
out?
flip cam, and I go sleeper class, just from Bangalore to Mysore, and so I just had the camera there, and it was really early in the morning, which was perfect because no one was.
That was lovely.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It brought back so many memories. I spent most of my life on trains because Dad used to move around.
They're my favorite.
Yes.
And even on the train, you can do some yoga, even in New York on the subway. So, just little things, but it's a transportable practice, and you don't need anything fancy. You don't need $100 clothing.
Right.
That's all kind of counter yoga.
Props, right.
Now again, a mat is great, but you can always make do, without one too.
You know what I do if I don't have a mat, and I used to carry it before, I don't anymore. You know those kitchen drawers, you have those rubber linings?
Oh, that's so
I just
smart.
roll that up and I put it in my handbag because these are so big to carry.
That's just what this is anyway.
All you need is something to grip, right?
Exactly.
That's all we have. That's all we need.
And a wood floor is good too if you're like, I don't have either, and you want to do it now.
Right.
That's also
you
good.
just put it out there.
Not all the time, because the padding is nice to have, but sometimes.
Yeah, well, you want to do some stretching. Maybe don't put your knees down. Sophie, we're all yours. You tell us.
Right.
Take us on this journey.
So we're going to do something that I experience in the winter is a lot of tension in my upper back.
Right.
Not from yoga, but from my bag. And I carry it, and then I have my jacket, and it's slipping off my shoulder.
Right.
So we're going to do a nice sequence to help work into the upper back and also the low back, which will sometimes,
I'm looking
with the
forward
upper
to
back.
that. Yeah.
Great. So let's come forward onto hands and knees.
Okay.
You can do exactly as Bono is doing so, or you can roll forward. And then spread very wide in the fingers. And you want your wrists right underneath the shoulders, and knees about hip width apart, and feet in line with the knees. And then as you inhale, go ahead and drop the belly and broaden the chest, just coming into a nice cow pose. And then as you exhale, round and curl in the spine, the navel drawing towards the spine. Good inhale, come forward. And I'm glad I'm hearing some very nice Ujjayi breath. Exhale, round and curl in the spine. And just continue, take 5 more, that's it. So you want the breath to initiate every action. So as you come forward, breathing, dropping the belly, broaden the chest, let the breath go a little beyond the finished pose, and then rounding and curling on the exhalation. And with the breath, you might even have a subtle ocean-like sound. which is called a Jaya breath. It means victorious breathing, and it helps you feel victorious, absolutely. And what is happening, and you two continue, take 2 more rounds, is that there's a very subtle constriction of the glottis, which is the aperture to the larynx in the throat. But I tend not to get too caught up in the physiology and really think more about the sound, which is also relaxing. Everyone likes the ocean, I think. So take 1 more round, beautiful. So inhale, come forward once more into a cow pose. And then as you exhale, just find a nice neutral spine.
Oh, it already feels great.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Good. Well, we're gonna do a simple twist. So I will demonstrate and follow in a breath and reach the right arm out to the side. And then as you exhale, go ahead and thread it down and through just behind your left wrist. And the right side of the head can come down. Now, if this is too much, you can put a blanket or a pillow. And then optionally, you inhale the left arm up and then go ahead and take it behind your back. And let's breathe here for 5 breaths. Good.
Oh, we're supposed to breathe. Thank you for reminding us.
Good. Exhale, yes, always. And the breath in the practice, I like to kind of use the analogy of have it being a very stable stitch. Doesn't speed up. You don't want it to be too long is good. It might slow down if anything, but really consistent.
You know what, Sophie? That's what I always forget when I'm in a twist. I forget to breathe.
Oh, and it's so it's easy to forget because it's like,
because
I'm
it's sort of all
constricting.
caught up. Yeah.
But when you breathe deeply and think about the whole organic body, you're giving this very nice massage to it. 1 more breath. And I like to feel the breath right in my back body as that arm is draped over. Slowly, you start to come back on an exhale. And as you breathe in, take your right arm through. And find all 4s. Oh. Good, and then inhale and reach the left arm out. Good. Is that a nice one? Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it. And thread that down and through. And the left side of the head to the floor, and then maybe inhale the right arm up and around towards the outer left hip and let it rest. 5 breaths, just so breathing and feeling the breath in the kidney area. And you also feel, as you did on the previous side, you get a little stretch in the shoulder blade of the left side here.
Right. I also feel a nice stretch on the outside of my right hip.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's good. If it's good, if it feels nice.
Right.
It's
It does
good.
feel good.
If it's a straining stretch, then it's time to reevaluate. All right, not go as deeply. Take 2 more deep breaths. Try to relax the right shoulder away from the ear a little more too. Good. 1 more. And let's slowly, as you exhale, start to bring the right arm back. And then come back onto all 4s and balance out here.
Do we have to come out of that?
I
Feels so
know.
good.
No, it's such a, that's like the first stretch I'll do if I'm tense. Now though, tuck your toes and bring your hands a little forward, or if you're close to the top of the mat, bring your knees back. We're gonna come to a down dog. Okay. So stretch up and back in the hips. And just take a few breaths here. So in downward dog, you want to make sure that the legs are strong, the fingers spread wide, almost to the maximum. And the majority of the weight is in the inner rims of the hands. And then just gently draw the belly in and up. So you want to feel that the front ribs draw inward so the back isn't too bowed. Good, beautiful. And then inhale, lift high on your toes here in down dog. And then keep reaching the seat up and back and bend your knees deeply so the belly comes towards the thighs. A really deep bend. And if you have a dog, they do this in the morning. And then stretch the leg slowly. And then from here, I like to take a breath in through the nose. And just exhale out the mouth. Just do 1 more like that. Breathe in. Exhale. And then let's slowly start to walk the feet forward. So keeping the legs straight if that's possible. Otherwise, bend your knees. It's important to modify and always accommodate your limitations with the body. We're going to eventually find a forward bend and bring the feet hip width apart. Very important in the forward bend that the feet are parallel. So middle toe right in front of the middle heel. Good. And then bend the knees just a tiny bit. And then inhale, come to a flat back and slide the hands right below your knees on the shins. Good. And then broaden the collarbones. Take a breath here. And then let's fold and release back down slowly. 1 more like that. Breathe in, lead with the heart and open forward really slowly. And then slowly again leading with the heart, folding down so the head follows. And take a hold of opposite elbows. So this Baddha Hastasana is the bound arms. Relax your shoulders. I sometimes even roll my shoulders
Feels
around.
good,
a little.
huh?
Nice, right?
Very nice.
And if you have lower back pain, you just bend the knees a little bit. Take the opposite elbow. Relax down.
Does bending the knees give a deeper stretch in the lower back?
Well, it should actually modify. Do you feel it kind of loosens the low back a bit?
I just need more of a stretch.
You need more of a stretch.
You need to come more often, Steph.
Yeah. And you also want to lift a little bit up in the quadricep muscles. And you think about, while you're contracting the front thigh, what does it do to the back? Lengthens it, right? So there's a little collaboration.
Yeah.
Let the arms go as you exhale. And that's kind of one thing. Every yoga pose, it grows on opposition. To lift, we have to ground. Start to roll up slowly. And just like in life, to really understand or appreciate our happiness, well, we sometimes have to feel sorrow. Same thing. Roll the shoulders open and back. Good. Bring the feet together. Tadasana, I know, right? It's like, life. So feet together here, and standing tall. And pick your toes up for a second, and then just lift up the quadriceps so the legs are strong. And let the toes come back down. Bring the hands in prayer. And then as you inhale, now, because we're a little close, we'll do this. We're going to reach the arms straight up. And then exhale, bring the hands down. And since we're staggered now, we can do this. Inhale the arms out and up. And then as you exhale, bring the hands back down. And just one more like that, breathing and lifting, and try to lengthen the sides of your waist. Exhale the hands down. And then a bit different this time. Inhale the arms out and up. Keep the eyes forward and then steeple the fingers. So the index fingers extend, thumbs cross. Breathe and grow really tall, but relax in your shoulders. And then exhale up and over to the right side. Good. And you want to make sure that you don't collapse like that, but instead you're lifting and lengthening. And 2 more breaths. Breathe deep into the belly. Good. 1 more. And then as you inhale, come back. Just relax your shoulders. Good. Breathe and lift up. And tilt to the second side. Let's breathe for 3. Exhaling. And breathe for 2. Grow taller in the tilt. Good. 1 more breath. And out. And then inhale, come back. And then go ahead and just look up at the hands. And then trace the midline. Bring the hands in prayer. Tadasana. Good. So let's do this half Gomukhasana, it's called. You're going to take your arms up and just reach them up. And this pose here, Urdhva Hastasana, extended hand pose, is actually, if we were to stay here for 2 minutes, we'd get quite, your arms would get quite tired, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so breathe here. But we're going to bend our right elbow and bring the hand towards the neck or even the upper back, that you're just going to scratch your back. And then take the left elbow onto the right elbow and just guide the arm a little towards your left, and a sense of just kind of drawing the elbow down to stretch your tricep. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
And then relax your shoulder and try to bring the chin level to the floor. And this, it's okay if you can't do that, you modify. And also try not to poke the ribs out, but knit the front ribs into the body. And breathe here. Exhaling. Good. Breathing in. And out. Let's take 1 more breath. And out. And then inhale, reach both arms up. And let's take the second side. So bending your left elbow, take the right hand to it, and then just relax your shoulder and bring the elbow a little towards the right and a little down. And like for me today, my left arm is much more open. So you notice that.
Right,
It'd
we
be a
all
little
have different
asymmetrical.
days, yeah.
Yeah.
Some days are better.
And what's important is to honor and be empathetic to the body. Yeah, never force yourself in any of the yoga poses. It's all about being gentle and being accepting of what's going on. And then inhale, lift everything up again, look up. And then just slowly bring the hands down. Let's inhale and reach the arms out and up from here, grow tall. And then as you exhale, fold down slowly over the legs. And then nice and easy, start to inhale, lengthen forward, just halfway like we did earlier. And then fold down. And then this time we're going to step to down dog. 1 leg, and then the other leg, step back. And now, child's pose. Let your knees come down to the floor. And you're going to sit your seat back on the heels and let your head rest down. And let your shoulders relax. Good, and really allow the elbows to kind of soften and just breathing well here. Exhaling. And breathing in.
How do you get deeper in child's pose? Do you like invert your legs?
Well, as much as your back allows, you can bring your legs a little wider, but just think of the seat, gravity just helping the seat relax down towards your heels. And maybe walk your hands back a little bit, Stefanie. Good. A little less than that, just a teeny bit back.
Like this?
Like this.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. And then slowly from here.
Bringing my knees out helps me a lot.
Yeah, that can help. And there are two different ways. There's a closed-legged and a wider leg child's pose.
Oh, it's just that I have these love handles around.
Well, I didn't notice, but those are good. They're lovely. You're gonna come forward slowly. And then from here, let me demonstrate this one. This is kind of another stretch. It's like a child's pose, but you let the seat be up more and you let the head or the heart come to the floor. So you can see you let the back bow a little bit here. Which can be really good in the upper back. Yeah, how does that feel?
Lovely.
Good.
And it's okay to bring the knees out, right?
Yeah, it's okay, absolutely. Not too wide, of course, but just
Right.
wide enough. And this is very good, too, for stretching the low spine. Let's take a few more breaths. Breathing out. In for 2. And then 1 more. And then from here, you're going to actually pull yourself forward onto your belly. So it's a pretty natural transition. You just kind of draw forward. Good. Yeah, slide back if you need. Sometimes I don't quite land right where I want to be either. And then bring your elbows forward for a Sphinx pose, just like you're in Egypt. Fingers wide. And Stefanie, bring your hands a little wider, and then index fingers parallel. And what's really nice here is to kind of hug the floor towards you a little, so just see how that draws the sternum bone forward. And then breathing well. A few options. You could look ahead, or you could keep the heart open and let the chin move towards the sternum. And I find this is really nice too if the
Very
back of the
relaxing,
neck
the back
is
of the
tense.
neck, yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
Really good. Breathing. Exhaling.
So I noticed in this posture, we're not only opening up the chest, we're also releasing the back. So it works both sides. That's wonderful.
It's really, it's
Very
a
nice.
very nice kind of mutual stuff going on there.
That's good.
It's really good. And if your back allows, there's one place we can go beyond. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And if you have a little tension in your back here, you can draw the belly in and up slightly, and that can just help. But if there's any tension that's not going away, then don't practice it. It's important to modify.
I think Stefanie and I are feeling adventurous today, so we're ready.
All
for
right,
whatever.
ready? Lift your elbows. Keep your hands over there. Lift your elbows.
We're ready.
And then relax the shoulders. And breathe here. Draw the shoulder blades towards one another. Lift the heart up. And breathe. So the extended cobra. How does that feel?
This one is a little bit hard for me, so.
Oh, yeah, so
but
lower the elbows
should I
back down.
bring the elbows
See,
down?
I'm getting a foot cramp. I find this cold weather sometimes does that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
And then
I think
you
I should
lower,
bring
so you modify. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And that's good to use your judgment. And some days something might bother you.
Yeah,
sometimes it
also
might
I
not.
think, or does it? I don't know. I'm thinking, is it because I have a shorter waist? Does that make a difference?
It could be so many things.
But this feels better.
Definitely, yeah. Whatever. You don't want them to feel compressed ever. And then we'll all do this. So let's bend the elbows out to the side and make a pillow with the hands. And rest. And let your big toes touch and let your heels roll out. And that's like a little self-massage on the back. There you go. How does that feel?
Oh, great.
Breathing. Yeah, I know. I could stay here all day.
We've got about 3 minutes. I think Stefanie and I are going to go to sleep now.
Well, sometimes, this is a great way if you can take Shavasana like this.
Yeah, it's so relaxing.
And there's also, you can do this with a blanket or bolster roll underneath your hips, which is really nice. And then let's do this. Bring the legs a little wider apart and make a pillow with your forearms like this. And this is called Makrasana, crocodile pose. Let your head rest and let your heels roll out.
I haven't seen crocodiles do this. They're always snapping.
I know, I always think about how. I guess they're like basking in the sun,
Yeah,
right? That must be
it
it.
just feels that way. That's
And then just breathe here. Good. And what is nice because you have this little cavity that you're making for your head, so you can really hear your breath. And this is a nice meditative space. You can stay 5 minutes like so.
Stephanie, isn't this like a massage table where they have that space for your face?
Yeah.
Exactly. 2 more breaths. One more. And then finally from here come back. And like all practice, you should end in Shavasana. So,
okay.
yes, so, well, for the convenience sake, it's pretty easy. We just roll over.
That's right.
You could also come up and
Well,
jump
we're
through to
getting
sit.
into Shavasana.
Nice and
I just want
easy.
to acknowledge our crew, Anne-Marie Harper on camera, Carol Lewis, and Len Harper in the control room. Thank you so much for being there with us. On behalf of Stefanie, Alleyne, who is also a facilitator today, and our special guest, Sophie Herbert, this is Banu Suresh signing off. And you are watching Yogaxpress. Take us to Dreamland, Sophie.
All right, so bringing the feet nice and wide, about 12, 14 inches, arms 6 inches from the body. And then just before you settle in, pick up your upper back for a second. The shoulder blades, just kind of gather them towards one another and then soften everything down. Feel the collarbones expand. Close the eyes. And just scan the body part by part. And little areas, if there's any tension, just let that leave on your exhalation. And holding, stay 5-10 minutes. And just absorbing all of your work.
I hate to get up. Feels so good. Thank you, Anne-Marie. You did make it.
Yeah, it turned out like I was in school. 2
I
blocks
appreciate that.
away.
You must be so tired, but thank you.
Okay. And I really was free much earlier, but you can't really.